Good evening and a warm welcome to all of you here at the News at 6. I'm Tracy Shilshi and I'll be getting you the day's top stories and what's developing at the moment in Lok Sabha. But before that, a quick check of the headlines. Land bill tabled in the Lok Sabha amid loud protests as the House resumes the budget session. Rahul Gandhi says Achhe Din government has failed the country. Supreme Court upholds the National Green Tribunal's order banning diesel vehicles more than 10 years old in the capital. Plea against NGT order dismissed. Navy's new stealth destroyer to be commissioned, INS Visakhapatnam, is launched. The indigenously designed warship will carry the state-of-art weaponry, boosting the Navy's firepower capabilities. China's President Xi Jinping starts his Pakistan visit. A mammoth $46 billion Chinese investment in energy and infrastructure is on the cards. And as the death toll in the weekend ferry disaster off Libya climbs past 1,000, officials of 28 EU countries rush to hold emergency talks in Luxembourg on migrant boat tragedies in the Mediterranean. Our top story, Lok Sabha resumed the second session of the budget session today, and the opposition benches were up as one when the government tabled the land acquisition ordinance. The main opposition party, the Congress, led others in the walking out of the House. The new ordinance comes with as many as 9 changes and is yet to be tabled in Rajya Sabha.
Soon after question hour in Lok Sabha, Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Rajiv Pratap Rudy tabled a copy of the re-promulgated ordinance on land acquisition. With that, the opposition MPs, including those of the Congress, Samajwadi Party, JDU, RJD, TMC and CPIM, started shouting slogans. Amidst this uproar, External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj gave a statement on the evacuation operation in Yemen. When the uproar did not die down, the Speaker adjourned the House.
To meet again at 2 o'clock.
Oppose kiye.
When the House reassembled at 2 p.m., Congress leader Mallikarjun Kharge accused the government of using the back channel to get the bill passed.
जब राज्यसभा में चले गया तो वहां के सदस्य वहां इसको पास नहीं होने दिया, वो बिल गिर गया। जब वो बिल गिर जाता है तो उसके बाद में फिर आपने जो सदन को यहाँ पर जो बुलाए थे 20 तारीख को राज्यसभा और लोकसभा, उसमें से राज्यसभा को आपने प्रभाव करके उसको 23 को आप उसको एक्सटेंड किया और 20 को हमको बुलाया, ताकि ये जो ऑर्डिनेंस है जनता के मंशा के खिलाफ और किसान के विरोध में उसको लाने की कोशिश करें। और आप बैकडोर से आना चाहते हैं और बैकडोर से इस कानून को पास करना चाहते हैं।
TMC's Sudeep Bandyopadhyay also voiced his party's opposition to the bill.
Land Acquisition and Rehabilitation Resettlement Bill 2011 was debated on the floor of the House on 29th August 2013. Trinamool Congress opposed it. Our leader Mamata Banerjee led a rally opposing this ordinance, which has been introduced. We totally oppose and walk out against this. Walk out against this ordinance.
The government termed the opposition to the bill unfortunate. The Parliamentary Affairs Minister clarified that a discussion on the bill was not listed for today.
दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण बात है, कांग्रेस पार्टी बिना कारण, बिना रीजन, बिना नोटिस, बिना कोई पद्धति मर्यादा पालन नहीं करते हुए सदन में वेल में आके हंगामा करना। लैंड एक्विजिशन बिल लोकसभा से 3/4 बहुमत से पारित हो चुका है और दोबारा जब ऑर्डिनेंस जारी किया तो हमको सदन में इसको रखना है, इसलिए रख दिया। जब चर्चा में आएगा तब उनका पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू क्या है, नया तथ्य क्या सामने आया, उनको नया कारण क्या है इसको विरोध करने के लिए वो बता सकते, विरोध भी कर सकते।
Thank you very much, sir.
With a full majority in Lok Sabha, the government will not have any problems in getting bills passed. Despite this, the opposition is unlikely to let go of any opportunity to raise its voice on the issue of land acquisition. Shyam Sundar's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And later this afternoon, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi also spoke on the proposed land reforms in the Lok Sabha, slamming the BJP government and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Rahul Gandhi said that the government had failed the country. He criticized the proposed land reform bill as anti-farmer and listed out how the government failed to preserve the farmers' interests, especially after unseasonal rains caused massive damage to crops across the country. He also highlighted falling growth rate in agriculture. Rahul Gandhi warned that hurting interests of the farmers will prove costly to the Modi government. This was Rahul Gandhi's first appearance, remember, in Parliament after his 2-month sabbatical that started before the first half of the budget session. It was also his first speech in the present House, which was constituted last year after the general elections in May.
एक तरफ से किसान को, मजदूर को आप कमजोर कर रहे हो और उसके बाद जब वो कमजोर होगा, जब वो खड़ा नहीं होगा अपने पैरों पे, फिर आप उसको अपने ऑर्डिनेंस की कुल्हाड़ी मारोगे। इसीलिए आप 60% लोगों को इग्नोर कर रहे हो। बहुत बड़ी गलती कर रहे हो। आप किसानों को, मजदूरों को चोट पहुंचा रहे हो और आने वाले समय में वो आपको चोट पहुंचाएंगे।
All right, for more on what's going on there in Lok Sabha, we've got our correspondent Shyam Sundar who's been tracking developments in Parliament. Shyam, that speech there by Rahul Gandhi quite invigorated. Clearly the vacation has helped and, you know, he's come back with a roar. Give us a sense really what kind of reactions are you getting?
Well, Tracy, it's true that it was a changed Rahul Gandhi today in the Lok Sabha. The press gallery was full and everybody was waiting. He was supposed to speak at 4 o'clock, and when he started speaking, he was in the flow. And not only he was in the flow, when opposition parties, the treasury benches were trying to disturb him, he was laughing and he was quite at ease today in the Parliament. And the way he articulated his stand on the agrarian crisis, and the way he related agrarian crisis with the land acquisition bill was fantastic, and everybody was looking very impressed. Even Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu, he intervened and he told treasury benches not to disturb him. And Rahul Gandhi, the way he attacked directly Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he talked about his suit and everything. So he looked like a mature parliamentarian today in the Lok Sabha, and he put his point across very effectively today. And we
और निर्माण की समयावधि।
All right, we seem to have lost that link there with Shyam, who of course is giving us a sense really of Rahul Gandhi's speech. It was an invigorated speech like we of course were telling you about, and excerpts of which of course you heard just a short while back. We'll be getting you more details of it a little later. Meanwhile, talking about how things were going on in Lok Sabha today, Union Minister Giriraj Singh in fact apologized in Parliament for his remarks on Congress President Sonia Gandhi that he made in fact earlier this month. Singh's apology came amid uproar by Congress MPs in the Lok Sabha. Protesting members sought an apology in fact from the Prime Minister himself and the minister's resignation. Leader of the Congress in Lok Sabha, Mallikarjun Kharge, in fact said that the BJP MPs and ministers have made several unwarranted and irresponsible statements against women, which hurt the harmony of our country. Congress MP Jyotiraditya Scindia said that such remarks make people hang their heads in shame. He also demanded the minister's resignation. Speaker Sumitra Mahajan also condemned the comment made against Sonia Gandhi amid a uproar that led to the House being adjourned for 20 minutes. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Venkaiah Naidu informed members that the government and the BJP did not approve of such remarks.
किसी का भी अपमान करना मेरा उद्देश्य नहीं था। मेरी बातों से अगर किसी को दुख हुआ है, मैंने कहा किसी का अपमान करना मेरा उद्देश्य नहीं था। मेरी बातों से अगर किसी को दुख पहुंचा है तो मैं खेद प्रकट करता हूं।
सारे स्त्री समाज के लिए एक ऐसा वक्तव्य देना इस सदन के एक सदस्य ने, और बहुत से ऐसे पॉलिटिशियंस जो आज वो स्टेटमेंट दे रहे हैं और मिनिस्टर जो स्टेटमेंट दे रहे हैं और समाज को तोड़ फोड़ के और अशांति फैलाने की जो बात कर रहे हैं, ये सवाल महत्वपूर्ण है, इसीलिए हम ये चाहते हैं कि इसके ऊपर चर्चा हो।
Nobody in the government approves such statements, particularly at personal level. The two on a party functionary holding highest office in the party. This sort of comments is not acceptable to anybody.
All right, we've had a quick break here, but up next, the Sensex tanks over 500 points to drop to a 3-week low. We'll tell you why in just a bit.
Tradition dating back centuries. A cultural heritage that inspires and warms at once. Magic that awes. Rajya Sabha Television brings you events that embrace the wonders of India's classical arts. Conversations with the biggest names in the culture and music. Rajya Sabha Television, democracy at work.
Welcome back. Well, the Supreme Court has dismissed a plea challenging the National Green Tribunal's order prohibiting diesel vehicles older than 10 years from plying in Delhi. The ban also applies on petrol vehicles older than 15 years. The court commended the NGT's efforts to ensure cleaner air in the national capital. Take a look.
In an order that could improve Delhi's deteriorating air quality, the Supreme Court upheld the ban imposed by the National Green Tribunal on all diesel and petrol vehicles. The court dismissed an appeal against the ban and commended NGT's effort to keep Delhi's air clean. However, the petitioners raised the issue that despite use of CNG vehicles, pollution in Delhi has got worse.
आज हमने खासकर एक ऐसा मुद्दा उठाया सुप्रीम कोर्ट के सामने कि जो सीएनजी व्हीकल्स दिल्ली में शुरुआत किए गए और आज की डेट में 70% से ज्यादा जो वाहन है वो सीएनजी पे चलते हैं दिल्ली में, तो इन वाहनों के कारण भी आज तक कोई पोल्यूशन कम नहीं हुआ है. ये भी इन्वेस्टिगेट करना चाहिए. Our course will be decided thereafter when we will get the order in our hand. That only we will decide.
However, the court turned down the argument, saying that the NGT only repeated the orders by the constitutional courts. The NGT had ordered that all 10-year-old diesel vehicles and 15-year-old petrol ones be taken off the road in the national capital region. The ban is likely to affect lakhs of private and commercial vehicles.
इतनी बेरोजगारी बढ़ जाएगी, इतनी मतलब आदमी इतने ज्यादा बेरोजगार हो जाएंगे और इतनी ज्यादा यहाँ पर कियोस्क पैदा हो जाएगा. उसको देखते हुए दोनों ने ही हमें आश्वासन दिया है. केंद्र सरकार के जो प्रमुख हैं इस समय परिवहन मंत्री श्री नितिन गडकरी जी और दिल्ली सरकार के जो प्रमुख हैं इस समय परिवहन मंत्री गोपाल राय जी, दोनों ने आश्वासन दिया है कि हम इसके अंदर आपका पक्ष पूर्ण रूप से रखेंगे और पूरी तैयारी के साथ वहां पर जाएंगे.
However, the NGT widened its ambit, issuing notices to states and union territories seeking status on prevention of air pollution with regard to vehicular traffic. Notices will also be issued to state governments, directing them to come up with ideas to counter air pollution in respective states. With inputs from Ravindra Shioran, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, so let's talk about this decision and how it will affect really traffic and for that matter the air in Delhi. We've got Chetan Chauhan, who's the Deputy Chief of Bureau of the Hindustan Times, joining us in studio this evening. Hi Chetan, give us a sense really of, this particular judgment by the Supreme Court. How does it yield really for those petitioners and also those who are criticizing the NGT's move?
The NGT's move was primarily criticized by the diesel lobby or a large number of commercial vehicles which run on diesel. But if this is implemented in toto in the entire NCR region, and it can have a huge impact, because outside Delhi there are large number of diesel vehicles which are even more than 15 years old which are still running, and it applies to private vehicles, commercial vehicles, buses. So it means a complete phase out. But then the government will have to provide an alternative, not in Delhi but in NCR. You have to provide CNG or some other alternative to diesel that the people can run their vehicles on the alternative fuel. Less than 10 years it will run. But it also raises the bigger issue of that it will have some sort of impact on unemployment, on jobs, because a large number of people are in this industry where their vehicles are more than 10 years, the taxi driver, the taxi owners,
That's right, tempo
the commercial
owners,
vehicles,
yes, yeah.
the commercial vehicles, the
Yes.
trucks. So what sort of a employment avenue, alternate employment avenue will be provided to them? But I think it will not have a huge impact on Delhi's air pollution.
Okay.
It will have a sizable impact, but not a huge one, because Delhi pollution is because of many factors. You have to take multiple steps. The biggest one, in my view, is decongesting Delhi. Until you decongest Delhi, the pollution problem will not come to an end. We introduced CNG in 2000,
Yes.
thinking that it will change Delhi's air.
That's
It did for
right.
some years.
Yes.
But as number of vehicles increased, the problem is back. And this time, it is the particulate matter pollution, which is very high. So we have to look at multiple levels how to improve it.
Yes.
Improving the public transport,
Yes.
decongesting Delhi, not allowing any new commercial complexes in Delhi, which congest Delhi,
Yes.
is one of the answers. So it has to be taken multiple steps, but I think welcome the Supreme Court order, which
Yes.
says that NGT was right, because NGT's order was based on Supreme Court verdicts in the past, and the government went against it under pressure from the diesel lobby, the
Yes.
automobile lobby.
In fact, we do know that the Union Minister for Road Transport and Highways, Mr. Gadkari himself said that 2 weeks is too less a time. The government is in fact going to be approaching the Supreme Court to give them a longer period of time to perhaps work this thing in and see how it works. Will we see that happening? Also, how much of a pressure is it going to be on the government? You yourself saying, that they did face a lot of pressure earlier from the diesel lobby. But this is what we saw even during the CNG time. But eventually it did happen. Whether it has improved the air or not, that's a different case.
One thing we have to realize, that when CNG was introduced, a similar sort of debate happened.
Okay.
But CNG introduction created a new sort of jobs. It doesn't mean that once people who lose their jobs don't get an alternative. Alternative
Yes.
job industry was created.
That's
When
right.
the diesel vehicles will be phased out, something new will come, and the jobs will be created. So job issue is a moral issue which has been created to protect the interest of the diesel vehicles, the diesel lobby, which I don't think is a big issue. But the bigger issue from the government is that they should come out with an action plan. The entire orders of the NGT is telling the government what to do.
Yes.
The government haven't told the NGT, this is the steps we can take, give us 10 weeks, 5 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, this we will do. So I think the government, both the central government, Delhi government, all the state governments of the NCR region should come up with a joint action plan to decongest NCR, to improve air quality in NCR. Only then the air quality in the region will improve. Otherwise, if you do something in Delhi, you don't do anything in Gurgaon,
Yes.
Faridabad or
Yeah.
neighbor areas,
That's
Delhi's air quality or region's air quality will not improve.
I'm blaming my chronic cold and cough on the air in this.
For the last
in
6 months, I
capital.
think you may be having it. Many
All
people
right.
in Delhi have it.
Yes. Mr. Chauhan, thanks so much for joining us, giving us a sense really what can expect really at the moment, the onus lying on the government and what it can eventually do and how it can keep the diesel lobby at bay and eventually work step by step. Meanwhile, let's head on to some more news relating this. India, in fact, is being closely watched on its intended contribution towards the global response to climate change. U.S. Ambassador to India, Richard Verma, in fact, said in New Delhi this morning that as he voiced U.S. support to India's leadership on global climate challenges. Take a look.
A pat on the back from the US on India's initiatives to mitigating the effects of climate change. US Ambassador to India Richard Verma asserted that India's robust economic growth forecasts and significant greenhouse gas emissions have seized global attention, alongside its intended participation in moderating climate change. With 2 back-to-back historic visits by the Indian and American leadership in less than 6 months, Verma said that the US is keen to step up climate change cooperation with India.
We want to share our best technology and our best practices with Indian companies. I think that's definitely the goal and the aspiration, and that's what we're working towards.
Richard Verma also spoke of measures initiated by the US to take on the climate change challenge.
We accept our role that we've played, but we also accept the leadership role that we've played over the last 3 and 4 decades. We are a major industrialized country that has been emitting large amounts of greenhouse gases for many decades. And so there's absolutely no denial of that reality by President Obama, and certainly not for me personally or the Secretary of State.
The US ambassador's remarks assume significance ahead of crucial climate change negotiations in Paris in December this year. In terms of emissions, India ranks 4th after China, US and the EU. Each will submit their intended nationally determined contributions, declarations that will be an articulation of commitment to adopt clean energy. Kriti Mishra, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Chief of Naval Staff R.K. Dhawan launched India's latest destroyer warship INS Vishakhapatnam today at the Mazgaon dock in Mumbai. It will be inducted in the Navy in July 2018. The new stealth destroyer is capable to operate amid nuclear, biological or chemical fallout.
The Indian Navy will soon have its largest destroyer warship in action after INS Vishakhapatnam was launched at Mumbai's Mazgaon dock on Monday. Weighing over 7,000 tons, the stealth destroyer is the first of the 4 follow-up order of the Kolkata-class warships. 65% of the ship was built in India at an overall cost of close to 30,000 crore rupees.
The Mazgaon Docks has emerged as one of the leading warship building yards in the country, and today it's a momentous occasion when we launched the first ship of 15 Bravo.
The ship will be equipped with the Israeli multifunction surveillance threat alert radar. This will provide targeting information to 32 Barak 8 long-range surface-to-air missiles on board the warship that is being co-developed by India with Israel. The ship will also be carrying 8 BrahMos missiles. Except the machinery compartment, the rest of the warship will have a total atmosphere control system. The system will enable the crew to operate the ship in regions of nuclear, chemical or biological fallout. The ship will be equipped with Zorya gas turbines from Ukraine.
This warship is a product of our own Indian naval design. The second aspect which would make every Indian proud is the fact that this ship is made of Indian steel, and this ship will finally have an indigenous content of about 65%.
The ship will be inducted by the Indian Navy in July 2018. It is during the induction and commissioning of the destroyer that it will be officially christened as the Indian naval ship Vishakhapatnam. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the Aam Aadmi Party's rebel duo Yogendra Yadav and Prashant Bhushan have strongly rejected and refuted charges levelled against them as they reply to the show-cause notices issued to them by the party on the 17th of April. The notice was against organising the Swaraj Samvad, an event which the AAP termed anti-party. Here's more.
Because all the decisions taken after the National Council, after that illegal National Council meeting where 4 of us were purportedly removed, all those decisions are illegal. Moreover, these very persons, at least 2 of these persons, Pankaj Gupta and Ashish Khaitan, had levelled some of the same charges which are contained in the show-cause notice against me.
Outright rejection from Prashant Bhushan, the man charged with initiating rebellion in the Aam Aadmi Party, show-caused for staging the meeting of rebels. In his letter to Aam Aadmi Party's newly formed National Disciplinary Committee, Bhushan questions the constitution of the body when its own members are involved in a slew of irregularities. His letter says, and I quote, "You know that there have been serious charges against you yourself which should have been referred to the National Lokpal Admiral Ramdas. These included the acceptance of donations of 2 crore rupees from shell companies without taking the approval of the PAC as required by the party's rules." He goes on to say, Ashish Khaitan has been accused of writing a planted story for Tehelka in defense of the SR company, which was charge-sheeted by the CBI in the 2G case for having created a Benami company, Loop Telecom. Like Bhushan, Yogendra Yadav too raised questions on the credibility of the newly formed disciplinary committee, terming the show-cause notice a joke. In his letter, he says, and I quote, "What raises more suspicions about this new National Disciplinary Committee is the removal not only of Shri Prashant Bhushan, but also of Shri K.K. Sivada, party's treasurer, and someone known to be a person of outstanding integrity, someone who did not take any sides in the ongoing dispute. All this smacks of packing the committee to ensure a desired outcome." The Aam Aadmi Party put up its own response. Spokesperson Ashutosh rubbished allegations made by the rebel duo against party members.
आशीष खेतान इस देश के चंद ऐसे पत्रकारों में से जिसने अपनी जान पर खेलकर पत्रकारिता की है और उसको किसी के सर्टिफिकेट की जरूरत नहीं है, चाहे वो प्रशांत भूषण हो चाहे योगेंद्र यादव हो। इन लोगों को अपने अंदर झांक कर देखना चाहिए।
The split down the middle in the ranks grows deeper. Reconciliation couldn't have been more distant. With Anu Devan, Bureau Inputs, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's get you more news and updates from across the country and nationwide. The stock market tanked today by over 555 points, with the benchmark Sensex closing at a more than 3-week low of 27,886 points. Heavyweights RIL and Infosys fell sharply on growth concerns even as weak global cues and fresh taxation worries added to the fall. This was the fourth consecutive session of downtrend. The Nifty also ended below the 8,500 mark by closing close to 158 points to close at 8,448. In yet another ceasefire violation, Pakistani troops resorted to firing and mortar shelling along the international border in Kathua district of Jammu and Kashmir on Sunday. The firing and shelling took place in Hiranagar sector of Kathua district last night. There was no loss of life or property reported. State-owned ONGC has called world-renowned oil and gas blowout control experts Boots and Coots from the US to contain fire at a gas well near Surat. 12 people have been injured in the fire so far. ONGC's crisis management team also stepped up efforts to drill a relief well at a nearby place for which the foundation work is already started. Meanwhile, ONGC Chairman D.K. Saraf today visited the spot to take account of the situation. Protests and violence erupted today at a hospital in Bihar Siwan district after the deaths of 3 school children and a teacher after a van taking them to school rammed into another vehicle early this morning. At least a dozen students of a private school and coaching institute were in the van when the accident took place on the outskirts of the town. Senior officers rushed to the spot to bring the situation under control. International news, and Chinese President Xi Jinping arrived in Pakistan today for a 2-day visit in which he is expected to announce $46 billion worth of investment projects in energy and infrastructure development. Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif and the country's top civilian and military leadership received the visiting president at an Air Force base near the capital, Islamabad. The president was given a military guard of honor and a fighter jet flyby. President Xi later met Nawaz Sharif at his residence in the capital. Signing of agreements is also to take place today. President Xi will also announce $46 billion worth of projects in the energy and infrastructure sectors. The focus of the spending is on building a China-Pakistan economic corridor, a network of roads, railway and pipelines between the two countries running through Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Security experts in India, however, say the planned corridor is a matter of concern for India. The death toll in the Libyan boat sinking has gone up. The European Union is meeting to discuss the migrant crisis, even as they know there is no easy solution to the migrant problem. Many EU governments have been reluctant in funding the rescue operations, but the bloc believes the situation can no longer be ignored. We leave you with this package.
In one of the worst tragedies concerning migrants this year, the death toll in Sunday's shipwreck off the coast of Libya has gone up further. Over 900 are believed to have died after the vessel capsized. The European Union Foreign and Interior Ministers are holding a meeting in Luxembourg to discuss the situation at hand and prevent future incidents. There's also talk of a possible emergency summit of EU leaders by the end of this week.
There is no easy solution, there is no magic solution, but there is a responsibility that we have to exercise together as Europeans and in a consistent and coherent way.
The challenge before the European Union is oversharing the financial burden as the humanitarian cost mounts. EU has been criticized for its migration policy since the rescue operation Mare Nostrum ended last year. The Commission said it was consulting with EU governments, European agencies and international organizations to draw up a new migration strategy in May.
Mare Nostrum war nicht das Mittel, aber es hat zum Teil schlimmeres Leid verhindert oder vermindert. Die Mittel wieder zu geben und dieses Instrument zu aktivieren, halte ich für sofort notwendig.
But Italy says the bigger problem is that of stopping human trafficking.
E cioè che esiste una piaga in questo momento nella storia del nostro continente e del nostro Mediterraneo, che è lo schiavismo del XXI secolo, che sono i trafficanti di uomini.
The upheaval in the Middle East and parts of Africa is forcing millions to flee their homes. With warmer weather, EU officials expect more migrants crammed into overloaded vessels along the North African coast, especially in Libya. Up to 1,500 migrants are now feared to have drowned this year alone. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.